But yeah, the other option there in that situation sounds like you can actually soft freeze. So what you do is you cut like 3 or 4 minions, depending how big the freeze is. And so it's still slow pushing into you, but it's slow pushing while both of you recall. How good's your jungle tracking, would you say?
Pretty bad.
Okay.
To be fully honest.
Do you know there's a kind of, a slightly cheaterish way of getting kind of like good vision for the first game? Because it sounds like you've got a bit of an issue with like, okay, do we crash for the, cheater reset? Do we keep it balanced? Do we get it slightly pushed, or do we let it slightly push in? And then the jungler, either your jungler or their jungler comes every time, because generally everyone paths bot to top because they get the bot lane leash. But something you can start doing, particularly when you don't place your ward early here or here, is if you can actually come up here and try and get your ward off as kind of minions are between your tier 1 and tier 2. And you can come up and put it there. The only risk is obviously if Rengar is starting blue, or, Aatrox is sitting here. But chances are they never are. Like you can see in this game, for example, you can actually get a free ward here, and this lasts for the whole clear path of Rengar until he gets here. So if your jungle tracking's bad, this is kind of a really easy solution where you just run through it like 120 and you just place a ward here, or you just basically get vision on the blue buff. And you can actually get vision on both if you place it like here. And it's just a really nice way of preventing that first death, or that first, uncertainty of, is Rengar going to gank me at level 3? Is he going to go for the scuttle contest? Is he just going to do a full recall? Full camp clear and then gank mid? Or is he actually starting top side and going bot side? So it gives you a lot of information, and also your team. It's an idea you can think of. I do it literally religiously when I play top lane, and it works more than 9 times out of 10. There's barely ever a situation where you get, Aatrox is, for example, sitting in this bush or something. And even if he is, you can kind of trade decently as a Garen or Urgot. Your level 1s on both those champs are pretty okay. So that's food for thought. I don't know if you think that's viable, but it works for me, and it helps you really get clarity on, okay, where's Rengar at that 3 minute to 3:30 mark. Not just for you, but for your team. So it's quite useful. Cool, so what's the plan in a lane like this? Garen versus Aatrox. Both have Ignite.
Aatrox, I know he has his passive where you'll heal, so I don't want to take the first auto from him. And I also don't want to get hit by his Qs, where all of his power is. So typically the Aatrox is going to try to heal me when I go for a minion. And then if I try to trade with him, he's going to auto me and heal and win the trade. And since we're both very short trade oriented, it's just important to win the trade, especially as Garen, because that's all Garen wants to do, is just short trade and then regen, and then short trade and regen, and then flash ignite, basically.
Yeah. So what's your short trade win?
Preferably either dodge the Qs and get and attack him, or just try to weave in them, or get close to him because his first Q and second Q are far away from him, and he doesn't have dash yet. So if I can get in his face, that's good. But yeah, a good Aatrox sometimes won't let that happen.
Yeah.
Here I just EQs.
Yeah. It's okay because you got shield and your Garen passive, which is fine. I think your Q's on a shorter cooldown than his as well, so you probably shouldn't let him bully you off. Watch what he does here for no reason. You just give this to him. So there's no, you don't lose anything off this, but it's just a trade window that you miss here. This is just a trade window where you can go up because his Q's on 8 seconds, your Q's on 2. And you can just go up for a quick Q trade and jump back if you want. It depends how aggressive you like to play the lane. But it also stops him thinking he can just get free CS. You actually start making him go, okay, if I'm going to go for... Aatrox will start thinking, okay, if I go for this CS, Garen's going to attack me. But right now he's thinking, oh, I can go for this CS for free because Garen just pushes back every time. And so it sets this precedent for him that he can basically get minions for free, yet you're having to almost work for your CS. So it creates a mentality or a structure in this lane of he's got kind of the dominance, when really the only reason he's got the dominance is because he won the first trade, but you can actually win the second trade and bring back status quo. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's really like everyone has different personality. Like some people are super aggressive when they play League. Some people are super passive and calculated. And it does depend on, you know, how you like to play a lane. But I mean, if you're going like Garen and Urgot with Ignite, like you're not there to just farm. You're not playing Scion, right? TP, Hullbreaker. You're not the Baus trying to just farm, you know, and suicide, deaths, whatever. You're actually trying to go a little bit aggressive here. So we may as well fit that playstyle as much as possible. And see how now, as soon as his Q's off cooldown, he immediately goes for a trade. Whereas as soon as your Q's off cooldown, you don't go for a trade. Which is just an interesting note.
Like I said, from my mental, I just think I've been like not as confident in the games past couple days, but you are making a lot of sense in that. It's obviously an error.
Cool. And it's fine, because, I mean, it is pushing. I mean, theoretically, he can't really get a cheater recall here, and this is a really good spot. Like, so if you're thinking strategically of, okay, Shaco can now gank, I mean, this is perfect. So, like, not necessarily not being too aggressive can lull this Aatrox into a false sense of security that he's got this entire lane under control, and you're just kind of playing like a fake sheep until Shaco comes, and then you guys just win the trade, which we may see here. Interesting by Shaco, that's okay. This is really good though, right? Like, look at the pressure he's now created. I mean, you could theoretically do so many things with this wave. Yeah.
What I mean by jungle diff is what's about to happen next. But like, I have this perfect wave state right here.
Yep.
And if you just go, you'll see what happened in the first blood.
Okay.
Like, yeah. In a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, this.
I mean, this,
state.
yeah.
This is good, right? This is like fine. This guy flashes. I'm pinging like right away to fall back. This guy.
Yeah.
Takes a little bit of time. And then.
Everyone rotates. Yeah, Annie.
Yeah.
Annie left.
Yeah.
Rengar's missing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, and I was like, once he flashed, I was like, okay, that's like we leave, but he did not, and then the Aatrox gets the first blood.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, like this guy. Yep, there you go.
And you look at it objectively, like the gold difference, it's actually gonna, like, sure, he gets that 300 gold, but he's actually missing a lot of XP here. So, like, I know it's frustrating because you could literally see this Shaco dying 10, 15 seconds before it happened. And, like, why didn't he ever try and, like, queue out or anything? Like, he just greeted for the scuttle and basically died for the scuttle. And obviously Aatrox has a 1 in 3 chance of getting the kill, and he gets the kill. So yeah, I purely get the frustration. Like, it completely makes sense. But what could you have done? Like, you couldn't have done anything differently, right?
Yeah, I usually, like, if I know I'm playing it like with this wave state here, I'm like, okay, whatever. He's missed, like, unlucky he got the kill, but he's missing the CX and the CS and the XP.
Yeah.
And he burned flash, so I'm like, it's not that bad, but.
Yeah. And even if you move, you guys don't really win the 3v3 because Rengar is just a better fighter here, and Shaco had used a lot of his abilities for the scuttle. So it's like, even if you did rotate, so like you do the right thing by your team and rotate so it's a 3v3, it's still like they might get 2 kills instead of 1. Like, it's just, in no way could you have done really anything else but what you did.
Yeah.
Which is so frustrating, but I mean, it's fucking solo. It's like gold solo queue. Like, it's plat solo. It's most solo queue. Like, that shit happens. And just sucks when it's our team, not their team. But both teams have, I guess, 50-50. Okay, why are we taking this trade? Let's go back. Yeah. Cool, okay, so talk me through the trade.
So, I was trying to avoid his Qs.
Yep.
Later, but then he uses all of them. Besides maybe the fact that it was an emotional play, I was thinking, okay, I can trade him now because he used all of his Qs. And I still have all my cooldowns, so if I could, like, QE him, then that's fine. And also, am I level up? No. So, yeah.
Cool. And do you
and
think
then he ignites me too.
Yeah. Why is this? Is this a good or a bad trade?
Probably bad.
Yeah. Why is it bad?
Number one, I'm probably going to concede the freeze I had. Number two, I should have known he wins automatically with the red buff. Number three, I don't have teleport, so if I do have to take it back, it's a terrible reset, and he pushes the wave under, and I lose the CS and XP gain that I created from him roaming.
Yeah. The final one is bone plating was up as well, which fucks your trade. But yeah, basically the biggest one is like you're literally 2v1ing in like when there's this many minions. Like that's a 2v1. Like you're literally trying to fight two people here because these minions are all doing 12, 20, like 26 on the melees. Like that's adding up to like, it could be like up to 100 DPS a second just from, before armor. Just from the minions. Plus him doing, 100 with his AAs plus abilities. Like, this trade just never works. But I kind of get it in the context, like, a little frustrated. So you're wanting to try and get something back. But, I mean, you had a really good plan here. You knew about that you had a really good wave state. And then all of a sudden you throw it all away just out of, like, an emotional outburst or something. Or just, like, an irrational thought of, like, I'm just going to trade here. Even though he has red buff. Even though he's got minion superiority. You basically made a bad decision when you were actually playing the game really well up until like 3 minutes 48, which is a bit of a shame because now you've put yourself on the back foot for 1 second or 3 seconds of a bad judgment, and you'd played the first 3 minutes 30 of the game like well. And like how long now is this going to affect the rest of the game? Like that 1 3-second decision is now going to affect you maybe for 3 minutes, maybe for 5 minutes. Like it really depends what happens next. But now you've got a wave pushing in on you. You're really low. If Rengar decides to come up and like come round, you're basically dead. Maybe you trade 1 for 1. But now you've just put yourself in a really bad situation and you don't have autonomy here. So like you can't really choose what you get to do now. Aatrox has all the power of decision making now. Because he can go, I'm going to push this in and recall. I'm going to ask for a gank. I'm going to keep pressuring you under turret. He's going to do all these things and really you have to stay. Because if you recall, you're basically you're inting your lane. But you're also now at risk of the Rengar ganking. So you've put yourself in a really bad situation off just one little decision. Which is like crazy when you think about the consequences bad trades can have. So just when you think about, a bad trade is one thing, but then you also got to think about, okay, how long does that one bad trade affect me in this game?
In the moment, I didn't see it as such a, this is upsetting. But yeah. Yeah, I figured that the Rengar was topside somewhere.
You didn't think he'd be there, yeah. I didn't either.
I didn't think he'd be there, and also I thought that he had gone by the time I felt like, okay, he's probably still topside, after that kill.
Yeah.
And he's recovering, but then he comes out of the bush.
Yeah. I mean, that death's a bit, neither here nor there. It was just well played by Rengar to sit there. Like, how long? He probably sat there for a minute.
Did he? I don't know. Can we see?
Yeah, we definitely can. Oh no, okay. He'll come up. Oh wow, he wasn't even waiting that long. Wow, okay. That's well played by him. I didn't realize he'd go to Gromp. I wonder if that first initial trade, if we don't take that first initial bad trade, what happens in that situation? Does this gank window still open up for them? It's hardish to tell. Like, you'd definitely be a lot healthier. Like, you would have been at least 100 HP there. Maybe you flash out. I don't know. It's a shame, right? Because we had such a nice wave state and we had a really good CS lead or potential CS lead, and then it kind of all went to shit. A combination of Shaco fucking it up and then you take your bad trade and then Rengar coming up. It's just like a series of unfortunate events. Alright, so what do we want to do? Like, we're 0-1, right? We're versing as 2-0 Aatrox. What's like your usual, like, do you have a fallback plan when it, like, what flicks the switch in your head in a lane like this? Like, When do you start going, okay, I'm going to play this lane differently because I'm behind? Is it a switch or does it feel gradual? I just want to kind of understand your thought process in situations like this.
I think it feels a little gradual. I mean, I do feel like even in this position, if I am slow pushing and building up a wave, he can't fight me at least. And I know that I will have a level advantage, hopefully, or we'll hit level 6 at like the same time. And since I have some disadvantage, I'm not trying to play passively since the lane is not lost, and I have, you know, I have the minions. XP I think we're like about the same. If you click on him, I'm not sure.
He's a little ahead, but yeah.
Tiny bit ahead, but I have ignite and flash advantage, so
yeah. Okay.
So yeah, that's my thought process in this moment.
Cool. And when you die, so like that death, what usually goes through your head? Like, are you thinking, fuck that Shaco? Are you thinking, could I have done that differently? Are you going, why the fuck is Rengar there? Is it all of the above?
In that situation, I'm like, I'm like on jungle diff, but like not like an actual, you know, not actually like, oh, like, you know, I'm not actually getting that upset. I'm more mad because I was not expecting him to be there. I was expecting him to come from the river, if anything.
Yeah.
And also, when I was thinking just about the timing, that was like what, 4:30 or like 5 minutes when that happened. Yeah. I was not still expecting him to be top side. I was expecting him, because he started bot side. So I was expecting him to be already going to his bot side camps.
What is something you haven't done yet that is a completely free resource for everyone in the game?
Oh, my wards?
Yeah, it's 6 minutes. I don't think in this situation, like, how were you to know to ward here? And, like, you never would have got a chance to ward here except before minions spawned. And it would have run out by the time all these shenanigans happened. So I don't think in this game itself, a ward would have prevented your death. But, I mean, it should just be natural. Like, as natural as CSing or breathing. Like, you should just be putting out wards. I don't know if you even win trades, because this is kind of how you want the trade to go.
I think I also have to sidestep this ability too instead of
yeah.
Another way.
Yeah. Because now we've put ourselves in a very interesting situation again now, where this is almost slow pushing. And theoretically, we don't know where Rengar is. Obviously, we know because we've watched it, that he's down here somewhere. But now you're in a really interesting position where... I mean, you've still got Flash Ignite, so it could be a battle to who gets 6 first, which technically you win. But also, we really want to get this wave state back to something more neutral or pushing into us as soon as possible. You don't really have a optimal trade window unless you can sneak something in against him until your ult and igniter's back up. This is good, slow pushing. Theoretically, like, you can push up here and, like, make him think about their CS a bit more, which is something you never do. Like, you almost never contest him CSing. Like, because you don't have to be this far back, right? Like, what are we doing with this gap?
I don't know, I kind of just want the wave to push in. I feel like I have a tendency to take trades into the wave when it's pulling.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to let it...
physically removing yourself from the temptation.
Yeah, no, honestly, because I do that a lot while it's been like a tendency of me.
Yeah.
Before, where like I will take the, you know, I will try to contest and then the trade will go for whatever reason like too long, or I'll get chunked. And then I'll get to over, like, I won't be able to hold it freeze, or, you know, or for whatever reason, like, things are just bad. Like, there will be an XP advantage because of the wave, because they're, you know, because the wave is slow pulling, and I'll just get, you know, destroyed, so.
Yeah.
Just trying to absorb the XP safely, and just let, you know, because I don't have many options, right? Like, he can just, if I try to contest, he can just Q, and then if I try to keep it going, he can dash away forward, Q again, then he, like, you know, hits his... whatever the chains on me, pulls me back into the wave. I'm just taking damage the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that you're literally physically trying to remove yourself from a bad trade, but I mean, we got to cut that habit out firstly. Not just in this situation, but in general. Like, you should be able to resist a bad trade, and you can still stay close to them. And secondly, I don't want you to actually contest this CS. I just want you to, like, almost pretend. Or, like, make him think something. Like, make him think Shaco's coming. Like, make him think about this CS. Because if you somehow get him to miss one of these, like, it's a little win you can do. Because there's nothing else you can really do here. Like, staying this far back is just too passive. And again, it says to him that he's got the lane. And it also says to him that you want it to push in. So maybe he's going to start thinking about, okay, Garen wants it to push in. What do I want? Or based off that information. And then he can think about his next step of, okay, cool. Garen is happy for me to let this push in. I can start thinking about something else. Like, am I going to start now thinking about my recall? Am I going to think about a roam mid? What am I going to think about? Whereas if you keep up, you're just kind of making him think in his head a little bit more about, oh, is Garen going to go in here? Am I going to win this trade? And he gets to think less about the long term. And you're keeping him in the short term. Alright, cool. We'll get out of this.
Yeah.
We'll go to the next game.
Go through the Urgot one.
This one? The 1-6? Yeah. If you find yourself getting into arguments a lot, I literally just play with all chat muted. Like, I just go into the settings. It's usually here. And you just do show all chat. You just remove them both. All chat and ally chat. I don't know if you like to listen to what your solo queue teammates say and what your enemies say, but honestly, I've found so much more mental, like, clarity and health just from, like, not having any chat at all and not having to go in and mute every game. So I just have it muted in settings. You can try that if you want. I would highly recommend it. If you find yourself getting into arguments or getting tilted off what people say. Okay, cool. So that's a bit of a shame because that early trade, he's got the Doran Shield plus a pot plus TP. So theoretically, he's kind of at the advantage. Because obviously when you go Ignite, you generally want to kill lane. So if you're at a health disadvantage, that kind of always sucks. But we'll watch it play out. Okay, nice.
I tried to grab
that would have literally been first blood. So
yeah,
it was a good window. Yeah. So I mean, we can already kind of I think I know the future of Zin's going to come up here soon, but it's like we've really put ourselves in a situation where this Zin has a very easy gank here, and we haven't done anything to prevent it. Whether it's pushing this late wave a little slower, even though obviously you're always going to push it a bit more than he can. Or it's just like coming up here and trying to ward at any point. This isn't obviously a good window because you're going to lose so much XP. But between your first and second waves, like, is there a situation where we can get this ward in? Because we know, like, the sooner you can identify that you're going to stack a wave here, like literally from your first wave, as a top laner, you should be able to tell you're going to be pushing this wave in, or this wave's going to be pushing into you, or it's going to go neutral. And that should immediately trigger in your head as a top laner, okay, do I need to ward? If so, where? Like, if it's getting pushed in, can I get a ward in Tribush? If I'm pushing in, can I get a ward here? That's what should be triggering in your head so that you preempt. So it's going, okay, fuck, I've got a slow push here. That's shit. But what can I do about it? Like, I'm in this situation. How can I make this a better situation than what it is? And literally the only answer is getting a ward down so that at least you can predict a gank 5 seconds earlier, 3 seconds earlier than what you've got here. I don't know if Zin's going to come up. So it's like, do you hard push this? Like, I almost think you could have an option here to hard push this and force him and force it to get to turret, and then you go for a cheetah recall. Because it's a cannon. I think that they're the two options. Do you see any other options here? Obviously, you didn't go with either of those two options.
Do you mean hard push it right now? Or wait
I mean hard push it right now. So here, as soon as we hit 2, we just hard push. Because this is, you've almost got the definition of a cheetah recall here without probably even knowing it. Do you know what a cheetah recall is?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, I
would only have, how much will I have? I would only have like, maybe, I guess I would have 300 gold maybe.
Yeah, if we CS'd. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the gold, it's more about preventing the Zin gank. So I don't want you to just think about the recall gold. But yeah, in terms of a traditional cheetah recall, obviously you want that gold amount. But I think here, as soon as we hit 2, there's no kill window here, right? Like, you could flash and try and flip him, but chances are he's going to flash and get out. So I think we just now, okay, we level up Q. Maybe we level up W, whatever's the quicker wave clear.
To be honest, I don't know, because if the wave bounces back, then wouldn't that possibly lose a cannon minion? If he slow pushes it back, potentially? Like,
yeah.
On the bounce back, like I would come back to lane with a XP and CS disadvantage, right? I mean, I don't, maybe like the reset is worth that to get an item advantage, but
yeah, well, it's dependent on a few things. It's whether we can predict the future and Zin's going to come up and kill you, and then the recall at a slight disadvantage is always better. But also, Trundle's never going to be able to push this before you can get back to lane. So the only way you lose cannon is if this bounces and this cannon wave like hits here, and he can prevent it from hitting the turret. Otherwise, if it crashes and hits the turret, you basically always win that. Because you won't lose the enemy cannon. Cool. Again, we do the really shitty ward. Like, really get in the habit of pushing this ward, because that's an extra second of reaction time. Which means, like, you don't have to burn your flash, maybe. Because there's no blast plant here where Xin Zhao can jump over. So, unless he's going to flash over, like, this ward is always better here. Or even, like, here. Like, you get way more time here. Yeah, so we can see some pings. Yeah, cool. Alright, do we preemptive flash? Do we need to? Okay, we don't need to. Excellent. Good mastery mode. Don't mind the BM. So in this situation, like, yeah, it's hard because it's like, do we predict that the Xin was going to gank us? If so, like, that little bounce was always going to be the best choice. Because now we've got a really weird situation here. You can definitely come back up. If you're cautious of Xin coming back again, just go through brushes and literally sit here. You can actually get through all the way to here, and Trundle doesn't even know you're here. And what that will do is that will give you your seat, so you'll still be able to get XP here, but you'll also be safe to know that Trundle doesn't know if you've recalled, if you're in this bush, if you're sitting back here, or if you're going for this. Like, Trundle doesn't have any information if you come in through this bush. Because if you can see here, Trundle cannot see you come in here at all, or even just this bush. And then you can sit here really safely and soak this XP if he decides to freeze. Instead of having to sit all the way back here and now show yourself, because now Xin can go, oh shit, Urgot's back to lane, I can now come gank again. Whereas if you go through here, Zin's going to go, oh, he's fucking recalled, I'm going to go gank mid, I'm going to go do my blue buff, I'm going to reset. So you're almost forcing the Xin to like go away from your lane. Because now if Xin repeat ganks you, it's going to be really rough. Which it seems like he will. Wow, he got fucking... How did he walk through that?
Wait, did he? No, he went around. He went around.
Oh, yeah, he went around. Okay, cool. I was going to say, how the fuck does he get through that? Okay. Nah, it's like, do you see that as like a realistic thing though? Like, just doing that little vision play, if we still want this XP, right? Because vision is so important.
Yeah, I could have either done that or back to what you're saying, because as soon as I showed, he turned around. Just like you said.
Yeah, so as long as you delay that show by 10 seconds, 5 seconds, every second counts, the longer you can delay the show is the more he's going to go, I'm not going to come back top. Good, I don't mind the flip. Ah, that's so rough. That's okay. I mean, you still get out at least.
Oh, this is, I remember what, this was really tilting what happens here.
Oh.
Yeah, really close.
Oh, he gets the fucking regen, from his passive.
He got level.
He got level up and his fucking passive. The only reason why you wouldn't do this is because the consequences of you dying here are so big. And the consequences, and it's like, okay, we get the kill, which is a good lead, but like, I don't know, what are the odds? Is it, maybe it is a 50-50, and do we like those odds? It's really dependent on your risk appetite as an individual. Personally, I probably wouldn't take it, but I don't play Urgot, I don't main him, so I don't know the risk profile of this play, as well as you do, because you've probably been in this situation 10, 15 times. But it's like the consequences of this not working out and you dying is massive, whereas the consequences of you just not taking that, I guess we could almost say it's a flip trade, because look how close it was. It was 16 health. It's like it outweighs itself. Like, you could have just kept playing passive. But obviously you've got Ignite and he's got TP, so you don't really want to play it passive. It's a really tough call, I think.
Yeah, also the more I think about it, I mean, even if I do get the kill here, he has teleport and he can just set up a freeze.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like...
Right, and then it's not even that worth in the end.
Yeah, extrapolating it, it's like we really don't get that much from it other than like you get a bit of dominance in lane and you get the solo kill. And it feels good because it's like Xin ganked me twice and I still solo kill him. Yeah.
Even if I get the kill here, it's not good.
Yeah, I think a lot of solo queue players we are overly aggressive, and it usually it sometimes works, and when it works, it feels so good, right? Because if you get that kill there, maybe you just start stomping the lane. But like if you watch, you know, the not I guess the players who just one tricks and like do cheesy strats, but if you watch like the very calculated solo queue players like Faker and stuff. And, you know, it's not everyone's playstyle. They play very calculated, and they'll take trades that are, like, always 60-40 in their favor, not 50-50, if that makes sense. And it's up to you as, like, how you want your identity as a top lane Urgot player. It's up to you. Are you comfortable with having 50-50 trades in your, like, personality as a player? Like, if you live for that and you love it and you feel like it does benefit you, or you feel like it does work in solo queue for you as an Urgot, keep them in, like keep these moments in because you like them and they work, and if you can create leads off them, they're great. But also if you're a player who's kind of like, I see that and I'm like, I don't want to play League like that. You know, I want to take trades where I'm always winning, you know, more comfortably than 16 HP difference. And it's up to you. There's no right or wrong there, but it's good to be conscious of what kind of player do you want to be? Or are you an erratic player that sometimes plays 90% of their game calculated and then 10% like these little moments, you play it very like chaotic and just go for the flip because Xin Zhao ganked you twice and you're like, fuck this, I'm going to go for the kill. And it's all just...
definitely is that part of it. Like I definitely do get really emotional.
Yeah.
Where I will just realize that like something will happen and I'll be like, oh my god, I didn't even check what items he bought after that big reset. Or like, oh my god, I didn't even check the map before I went for that big trade. Like I couldn't, like I have no, like I literally don't even know the jungle in this past minute. I could have just died there.
Yeah.
And I'll just start tunnel visioning and then I'll realize, oh my god, I could have thrown the game if this had but I didn't check this.
How can we? So, firstly, are you okay with that play style? Do you want to keep that in your play style?
No, of course
okay,
not.
Good.
I want to know like everything that's going on.
Okay, cool. So then, second, how do we prevent that? What triggers that? So it's the Xin ganking, right?
I guess. Yeah, I don't really know what sets because I'll notice it just in general. Like even when I'm winning, or like there will just be times where I get to into the game.
Yeah.
I guess instead of thinking about the game.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is it overvaluing kills versus like overall lane state? It's like thinking too much about the micro and not enough about the macro. Like you're thinking almost what's going to happen in the next 10 seconds versus the next 3 minutes or 5 minutes maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I definitely do overvalue kills.
Yeah, because it's not a win con, right? You getting that kill with a 50-50 chance. Like, I'm going to put that as a 50-50. I don't know if in your head at the time you thought that was going to be an assured kill. But, I mean, he's got tempo. It's tempo Trundle, and he's got flash, you don't. I mean, he didn't even have to use flash, but... I mean, I'm going to put that as like a 50-50 flip. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's worth it. But that's okay. But yeah, I think the big ones is like the tendency to take bad trades, particularly with very even matchups. And I think that's something you can really easily identify. Like now, objectively, you know, Garen versus Aatrox. I think this is actually super valuable piece of information is the short trade almost never works, particularly if he has bone plating and if he's a decent Aatrox player. The short trade doesn't work unless it's to set up your ultimate trade, which is obviously your ult plus ignite. That's the only reason why you take a bad trade in Garen versus Aatrox to set up for your second trade, if that makes sense. Which is also something that might be too advanced for you. Maybe you think about, okay, if I do a trade here, then another trade in 30 seconds, then another trade in 20 seconds with my ult and ignite, I therefore win it. That's something that's a bit more of an advanced concept, and maybe you do already think in that way, or maybe you just think 2 trades ahead of like, okay, if I do this trade and then I'm level 6 in 3 minions or 5 minions or in the next wave, I can then go for my all-in. And you could think like that. I'm not sure. But that's something good to start instilling with when you know you have bad trades, but also you know you have to take a bad trade to win your next trade. That's an interesting concept that a lot of players don't think about. Second one, obviously, is warding. This game was a little better, but still the placement's atrocious. Like, just place there, and you give yourself an extra 2 seconds every time. Next one was just the awareness versus tunneling that we just talked about there of, like, we got to prevent tunneling as much as possible, like, however we do it. If it's, like, every time the wave comes, you have to think again of like what you want to do. So like I use that personally as a trigger. Sometimes I suggest people start with like every time you die or every time you recall, you need to reset and think about what is the laning, like what's the next win condition or objective. Like, is it to push the minions in? Is it to look for dragon? Is it to get a 1v1? Like, use something that happens in the game every single, like consistently, to make yourself think about, okay, what's the next macro play? Because a lot of the time solo queue players are too focused in the micro, overthink solo kills, and really solo queues don't actually matter too much compared to like actually thinking 5 minutes out of going, okay, how do I want this game to pan out? Or how much can I orchestrate this game? So I would suggest, if you can, every time the new wave comes into your lane, start thinking and ask yourself like a couple of quick questions of, where's the enemy jungler? What's this wave state doing? Do I want to take a trade or do I not? Like, those kind of 3 questions can provoke like your awareness, and then you start going, okay, I don't want to actually take this trade because I know it's bad. I think that could be a really good fix in the long term if we can actually think about every time a new wave comes in, think about, okay, what do I want to do with this wave and why? And that will start breaking away from you tunneling, because that forces you to think bigger than the kill. It forces you to think outside of your lane, right?
Okay.
Do you like that idea, or is it a bit unrealistic?
No, I do like it. I always try to think about what I want to do with the wave, but I think that a lot of times I struggle with the correct decision. Like, I will look back, like the other day I was spotting a block and I just froze the wave for some reason.
Yeah.
Like I took a really good trade. Like, I had the wave frozen in this position, same exact position. Took a really great trade. He was like 10 to 15% health. I was 50% health, or like 30. You know, I was like, had like double his health or something, but it still wasn't full HP. I was like,
yeah.
And so he left the lane because if he kept fighting me, I would just kill him.
Yeah.
And I froze the wave there, and that was, it's like I was like, okay, what I want to do is I want to freeze it now. I want to punish him.
Yeah.
But then he came back with a item reset, and I was then stuck. And I realized that if I had just pushed the wave after that, like if I had just because he now had to take that reset, because if he kept staying in lane, I would kill him.
Yeah.
I should have just shoved the wave under and either forced him to miss all that XP or get dove.
Yeah.
And then either I would be fine trading 1-for-1 under his tower because this is the full, like the double wave, the triple wave.
Yep.
Or or he has to stay and then I come back and now I freeze at him. But instead I decided to freeze. So like sometimes I do think a lot about like what I want to do in the wave, but oftentimes I just don't make the right decision. I feel like.
Yeah.
But I guess that just comes with botting more and like learning.
Yeah, it definitely comes with getting yourself to review those games, because as soon as you identify that mistake yourself, particularly if you can identify mistakes on your own, that's the best way to learn. Did you have TP or Ignite? I'm assuming you were playing Ignite, right?
Ignite, yeah. I almost never take 2P.
Got it. But yeah, the other option there in that situation sounds like you can actually soft freeze. So what you do is you cut like 3 or 4 minions, depending how big the freeze is, and so it's still slow pushing into you, but it's slow pushing while both of you recall. Do you know what I mean by that? So like instead of you freezing it with you there, what you want to do is cull the minions a bit. Usually if you just have like, if the enemy has like a 2 or 3 minion advantage, depending where the wave sits, like if it's here, you really only want like a 1 minion advantage, but if it's back here, you want like a 2 or 3. And then you can recall for free, and you still have the freeze, if that makes sense. And that's almost like the best of both worlds. Yeah.
I do that when I get like usually a first blood.
Yeah.
In like the first 3 waves with Ignite. If I burn my Ignite and I'm like really low health, if they have TP, then I will do that.
Nice.
I know they're gonna come back with a reset and can pressure me a lot, so I'll try to do that in that moment.
Good.
Okay. That's when I've used that.
That's good. You're thinking you know that. Then that's really good.
That is the main strategy.
Yeah, no, that's good, Alan. Awesome. So I gotta go, but I mean, think on the session a bit. Like, don't have to make a choice any time, but yeah, I'll send you a message maybe later today or tomorrow, and if you want to keep going, we can.
Let me know how to like PayPal then.
That's good. You're thinking you know that. Then that's really good.
Yeah, just trying to find that is the main strategy.
Yeah, no, that's good, Alan. Awesome. So I gotta go, but I mean, think on the session a bit. Like, don't have to make a choice any time, but yeah, I'll send you a message maybe later today or tomorrow, and if you want to keep going, we can.
Let me know how to like PayPal then.